Morning, everybody. So, here it is Sunday, and like I said, I had great aspirations to take ThunderToad out and go for a romp. Like I said before, we've been getting a lot of rain lately. It rained last night, and I just know the spot where I go is just going to be nothing but a flooded, soupy mess. It'll be a good time, but the tires on the machine are pretty near wore out, so I'll probably do a lot of just sitting there spinning, but it'll be fun nonetheless. But anyway, so last video, the carb rebuild was a big failure. Didn't happen. I have a carburetor here Thursday, so maybe next weekend it'll be cooler, better weather, and I can take it out for its inaugural run. But I was talking in the last video about something that I did on this engine. And if any of you guys know about engines, small engines or whatever, you probably know what I'm talking about. But small engines have something inside of them called a governor. And the purpose of that governor is to prevent that engine from over revving and blowing up, basically. Those small engines are not designed to operate at a high RPM. So what the governor does is it somehow internally measures the load that's being placed on that engine. So like for a snowblower, for example, when you come into a snowbank and that engine starts to bog down and work hard, that governor actually takes over the throttle for you and brings your RPMs up so that the engine can chew its way through that stuff and give you a little extra more power. It's regulated. It'll only increase the RPM so much because the engineers that built the engine don't want that engine to spin at any more than 4,000 something RPMs, revolution per minute. If that thing really gets howling, bad stuff happens because the engines are not built strong to take that sort of thing. So the crankshaft, of course, those are always steel, but they're not like racing caliber hardened steel. The connecting rods and the pistons and stuff like that, those are all just cast aluminum. So if that engine gets really spinning, it could grenade. So there are kits you can buy for engines from go-kart racing companies and stuff like that, where they've made aftermarket billeted aluminum connecting rods and performance parts that you can use, stage kits they call them, stage 2, stage 3, etc., to get essentially double the horsepower. So it's like a car engine. You can modify a car engine to handle more RPM and more power and more torque and whatnot. So anyway, I'm not going to that extreme on this machine. I'm just going to use discipline. So when you eliminate that governor and you hook your throttle cable up direct to the carburetor, you get instant full-on throttle. I mean, you could theoretically, with that carburetor and wide open throttle, you could get 10 more horse out of that engine. But if you sustain that for a period of time, the engine will grenade. It'll come apart because it's not designed to handle that. So I watched a video the other day Small engine mechanic had a video on YouTube about what can happen to an engine if you bypass the governor. So he intentionally grenaded a motor just to prove a point, which was good because I wanted to see this. I've heard all these stories in the background, and oh, don't ever disable that governor. Oh my God, you're gonna have a bomb on your hands. There's a guy I subscribe to on YouTube called Red Beard's Garage. This guy, I love him. He's awesome. He's always modifying and building high horsepower off-road buggies and carts and machines and stuff, and he modifies every engine he has. Tries to extract as much horsepower out of that motor as he can, and it's fun to watch him. I like him. But anyway, check him out sometime. He doesn't know me from Adam, and I'm not doing a plug for him or anything like that for any reason. It's just because, but it's a fascinating channel. So anyway, he totally eliminates his governor. I mean, he'll take the engine apart and pull all the governor components out of it. And I'm not going to that extreme because I don't even know how to get the engine out of the Argo. It looks like it'd be a nightmare to try to do. So all I did was take the governor arm. There's a rod that sticks out of the top of the engine. Goes out into the engine, and there's a lever that activates the governor mechanism in there. All I did was take the throttle control linkage arm off of that to bypass it. Now, I've done this on my other V-twin engine I had in the Atex six-wheeler I was working on, and you know, amazing results. But anyway, back to that video. So this small engine mechanic wanted to prove what happens to a motor when you eliminate the governor. So he had a Honda engine. I don't know what it was. It was out of a pressure washer or something like that. Took the governor off, and he ran it watt, that's acronym for wide open throttle, out in his driveway, and he timed it. And at wide open throttle, watt, it took almost 45 minutes for that engine to blow up. I'm thinking to myself, who's going to run their machine at full throttle for 45 minutes? You know, even half of that. I mean, with this machine, to run that thing at wide open throttle, constant, for even 20 minutes is ludicrous. I'm going to get off the gas. So let's say I'm on a straight trail, and I'm cruising down that straight trail. I'm not going to just sit there trying to go as fast as I can for 20 minutes. That's not who I am. I'm not racing it. I'm not, I get stuck in a sippy hole. I'm not going to sit there for 20 minutes, that thing cracked full throttle trying to get out. No. 2 minutes at the most, if that. You know, well, that ain't working. Back off. So I theoretically don't see any sort of engine damage. Not only that, but I'm going to combine it. You know, since I've done that, I'm going to run a really high quality oil in this motor. I'm going to run a synthetic, which I think the reason that these engines grenade is because they're running conventional oil, and at that high RPM and that high temperature, the viscosity of that oil breaks down. So viscosity is the lubricating qualities of the oil. So at that high speed, you're actually, and the reason I know this is because I used to be an AMSOIL dealer for a little while, so I studied oil, I know how it works. In a conventional oil, there's molecules in the oil, and the molecules at a high speed and a high temperature actually shear. So if you think of a molecule as a small little ball bearing or a BB, it's rolling around, it's microscopic, and it's providing the lubricity between the two metal parts that are moving. At a higher RPM, higher heat, you actually shear that little ball bearing in half, and now it can't roll, so it loses its lubricating abilities, and now you basically have metal on metal. Synthetic oils don't have that. They're a whole different critter, so they lubricate no matter what. When they get hot, they don't break down. From old age, they don't break down. That's why you can run a synthetic oil in your vehicle indefinitely. You don't need to change oil. When I was with AMSOIL, you could do an oil change, switch over to synthetic, do an oil change, and you could run that oil for the rest of your life. They just required you to periodically, like once every 3 months or so, take out a sample of that oil, send it into their lab, and they would test it to find out if it still was good, if it still had its lubricity capabilities, and if it did, keep running it. So I might switch over to a synthetic oil in that engine just to help protect me in the event that I do run it at wide open throttle for a long enough time to possibly cause a problem. But outside of that, eliminating that governor is going to give me more power when I need it. So yeah, I just wanted to clarify that, because maybe somebody heard me say eliminate the governor, and they're like, what, assassinate the governor of Wisconsin? No, that's not what I was talking about. So I wanted to explain that. But anyway, so yeah, so we're waiting for that carburetor. When that comes in, I'll hook it up and get it dialed in, and we should be good to go. I got other things I got to do on the machine, so I might putz with those. The biggest thing I have to do is get that gas tank out of there and get that cleaned out. The gas coming out of that tank smells like varnish, and it's real yellow, and gas should not be yellow. Gas should be clear. So that tank has got bad gas in it. It needs to be cleaned out, flushed, and then fresh stuff put in. So that's one of the missions I got to do. So yeah, so today I think I'm going to finish up this friend's boat, because it's cloudy and the sun's not out, and it's muggy and hot out here, but it's not like, oh my god, as soon as that sun comes out, it's just unbearable. So I might finish that up today, get that back out to her, and get paid. And then I might go check out that trout lake today, see what that's all about. So if I go do that, I'll bring you guys along, check it out with me. So stay tuned.